we're Paul and Shanda Johnson. We have been married for 10 years. We got married August 7th, 2011. Right away we knew we wanted to have a family. So we started on that adventure, excited and hopeful, and realized quickly that that wasn't going to be the case. I had been dealing with some health issues since I was 14 years old. I had endometriosis, which caused severe pain and issues with my reproductive health. So we knew starting out that that was going to be an issue, and things kind of spiraled from there. I was seeing doctors trying to help us get pregnant because it wasn't happening on our own. And I was eventually diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome as well. As we were going through that, other issues started to arise. I started having numbness in my arms. I started getting really dizzy. I couldn't walk right. I had a lot of pain in my legs. Things just weren't right. And I went back to different doctors, asked them to do tests. They told me that I was depressed and I was anxious and everything was fine. They wouldn't really run any tests. So we just kept trying to follow our dream of having a family. We set up IVF. We were going to try in June 2017. And a couple weeks before, I lost vision in one of my eyes, and that prompted the doctors to do an MRI, and they diagnosed me with multiple sclerosis. So that 5-year search of mine finally came to a conclusion. I had an answer. Things did not get better, though, unfortunately.
That moment, I feel like, for me, because I wasn't going through the specific health issues, that's when everything switched. And it was day and night. It completely changed, and I had no clue what to do. It was a lot to take in. I mean, we'd handled a lot of other issues over the years. And again, things that didn't affect my personal health or my body, but hers, it was another thing that I couldn't physically do anything about. It's tough. Definitely the hardest things I've done is try and figure out how to help when you can't help.
There were some dark moments, and I remember one morning I woke up before Paul, and I went outside and decided to take a little walk, which was a miracle in itself because I was not really getting out of bed much those days because of pain and honestly depression at that point. And I went on a walk, and it was in March, so it was a little chilly out, but the sun was out, and I remember just feeling a sense of peace. And I talked to God the entire walk, and I just said, God, I don't see what you're doing. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't like it. But whatever you bring from this, whatever comes out of this, I'm going to trust you through it. I am going to give all the glory to you because I know that you're going to get me through this and us through this. And I don't know, we didn't know if we would ever have a family. We were starting to try to accept what our life would look like without children. And it's a huge loss of control over your own life. And I just kind of had to give it to God and say, this is yours. I need you to carry this for me because it's too heavy to carry myself. And I don't know how I'm gonna get through this if you don't help me get through this. And I just remember feeling a shift in my heart and in my soul, and like everything was gonna not necessarily be okay, but everything was gonna head in a different direction.
We say give it up to God a lot.
A lot.
We don't force really anything. Whatever decision it is, her health, buying a house, we do things that the work and we give it to God and let him.
And we know if we're met with resistance, that's God telling us no. And that doesn't mean that he's not giving us what we want. He's giving us what we need. But sometimes it doesn't always look like what we're asking for. And that was a hard realization too, because ultimately I wanted to just say, God, heal me, make me better, take this away from me, please. I don't want this to be my life. But I realized that that's, not realistic. And he had something a lot better in store for us that we didn't realize at the time. So one random day, I told Paul he was going to the store, and I was like, you should pick up a pregnancy test. And he was like, okay, I will, which wasn't out of the norm because we'd done this hundreds of times.
We owned stock, I think.
Yeah, we should have owned stock. And he went to the grocery store and he called me about something else, and he was like, I'm on the pregnancy test aisle. Do you still want me to get one? And I was like, no, I can't deal with the heartbreak again. Don't get it. It's fine. And then we continued talking, and I was like, no, go back and get it. Like, let's just be sure. And so he got it, and I sat on it for a couple days because I just wasn't mentally prepared for the negative. And finally, a couple days later, I was like, well, I should probably test. And I did, and it immediately turned positive. And I was like, oh, nope. And I set that down, and I was like, I'll come back to that because I think my eyes just deceived me. And I let it wait the couple minutes, and I came back and looked, and it was positive, and I just fell to the floor and just sobbed, just ugly cried. But just continued to say, oh my gosh, like this can't be real. Thank you, God. Oh my gosh, I can't. It took my breath away. It was something I never expected to happen. And now we have a 1-year-old little girl named Wyatt, and she is amazing. And I understand now why he made us wait. Good things take a lot of time, and she is perfect. I think she's gonna do a lot of good in this world. I would say don't give up. It can feel so defeating and so heavy, and like giving up is the easiest and only way, but don't. Because God is there, and he will meet you in those moments, and he will get you through this. And there is a reason for all of this, and you may not see it and you may not understand it at this moment, but you will, and he'll use your story in whatever way he sees fit. And that's all that I asked him, is that he could use our story to help other people. And now we're here, and I'm so thankful and so hopeful that we can reach other families that are going through illness or infertility, because it is tough. It is not easy, but he is so good, and he is so faithful, and he will carry you through.
It's been hard a lot, and whether it's me or her, we've always been there for each other. We've expressed this to friends and family, and they've always helped. It's not something you have to go through alone. So.
And it's tough. It's tough on a marriage. It's tough on your soul. But again, you rely on God, and He brought us closer. Our marriage is stronger, and we're in a completely different spot than we were 5 years ago. Our life is completely different, and I give it all to God. I learned how faithful He is, and how loving He is, and how He will find you in your darkest moments. When you think that you are alone and you've been abandoned and you don't know what the point is anymore, He finds you in those moments and lifts you back up and restores you. And I had never experienced something quite that powerful before. And I always, I guess, thought that, like, when I ask God for something, when I pray for something, if He doesn't give it to me, then He doesn't care about me. He doesn't love me. Why doesn't God give me what I'm asking for? And that's not who He is. That's not what He's for. He's not there to give us our every want and desire. And that was a hard realization, because I wanted him so badly to just take it away.
It's God with patience. You can't expect it right away, and that's...
Or at all in certain instances. I
Right.
mean, not to look like exactly what you want it to look
It may
like.
be an answer in a completely different way.